What's up, everyone? I want to check in with everybody now that we have patch notes for version 660 coming. Let's kind of go through everything here. For the most part, everything we already know about the Epic Quest, as well as some new free-to-play friendly details, which are actually pretty good. So we'll take a look at that, and we'll kind of dive deep in what it means in the game, and what we've got going on with boycotts and all that. But 6 characters from the APK: Sentry, Moonstone, Scorpion, Ares, Dak, and Molecule Man all have been added. 2 new uniforms for Green Goblin and Bullseye. So we'll kind of look at those characters individually. Again, a lot of the star agents that were putting out content said it was very, very difficult to test without doing a lot of work on the account itself. So we're going to have to wait and see kind of where everybody's at. But we'll kind of look at all of the details that we've got going on. Potential realization for those characters as well. They all going to go to level 70 except for Sentry. Obviously goes to tier 3 or comes unpacked to tier 3. So that's what the note is there. And then this little tidbit is what we're going to spend the bulk of our time on itself, is the deletion of character requirements for Awakening Potential. And what that actually means. Possibly very, very good for a lot of free-to-play players and players in general who haven't been hesitant to build certain characters because of certain requirements. So we'll get a little bit into that as we kind of power through this. So Sentry's build for the most part looks, all of these builds look exactly like they were on the APK. For Sentry specifically, obviously has a very, very good leadership, 30% increase on all attacks. It's very, very similar to say Odin and Silver Surfer. It's probably going to be better than Odin. We'll have to kind of see. But otherwise, his details for the most part are exactly the same. You got a nice debuff removal on his lead, like I said. He's got a full revive. Well, he's got an 80% revive. I don't know why it's not full. It's kind of weird that way. Does have super armor, which is nice on his tier 3, which will automatically have. Does have a little bit of accumulation as well as some defense down. So he should be overall pretty strong. We'll talk about his tier 3 a little bit later on in these patch notes because it seems... it just seems a little lackluster. Next up, we have Molecule Man, who's got a pretty solid lead for timeline, so he's probably going to be a good meta character there, meta best in slot, kind of for all your lead teams. He'd also have a little bit of reflect. He also does have a little bit of defense down, but... and looks to be pretty strong overall, penetrates all things. Whether or not he'll be very, very good overall in terms of PvE is kind of yet to be seen, but I feel like for the most part he's going to be very, very good for timeline, so that's going to be pretty good there. Moonstone has a power set that's very, very similar to Captain Marvel. The one thing that she does have that we saw on the APK is the ability to kind of switch over things, just like Captain Marvel has a power up, but she does as well. She also has a little bit of accumulation, a little bit of defense down. So for overall, she looks pretty good. Again, very, very good. Difficult to test all these characters in general because of the way that the APK was built. Ares looks to be very, very strong. And this is all really kind of on paper, right? But he's going to be one of the characters that you get kind of slowly dripping into your roster, just like say Colossus. Pretty mediocre leader. It's just the 30% physical attack, but with kind of the big piece of him is the effect of his tier 2 skill, which is the increased skill damage by 40% and another by 30, and then 100% increase the critical damage as 100% on critical attack. So it's a lot of like the Namor buff, which is very, very good. So overall, a little bit of bleed. For the most part, some defense down, a nice little snap up there. So looks to be very, very good. He is the one of those that has the Awaken skill, so it's going to be something to kind of look out for as well. And then we have Scorpion. For the most part, initial testing looks like he's going to be very, very good. He is going to be the character in the Future Pass, so there isn't a bio sub character this time around, or at least we haven't seen one. So for the most part, I'm fine with that. I'm good with it. It does a lot of poison damage, so look to see if Viper will be a good lead for him. Otherwise, we'll kind of have to wait and see. If he has also the potential to get a uniform, because he has no Dark Avengers tag from what we were seeing in the APK itself. So there is a possible uniform in the Dark Avengers comic book run. He does wear the uniform of Venom, so I would expect a uniform change for him at some point. The other character on here who's really kind of developing into the meme of this update is Dakin, who is very, very much like his father, not very, very good in this game, even though they're kind of a fan favorite. He looks to be the free-to-play hero as well. He's going to be in the X-Gene Biosub, so you can miss me with that. But he also doesn't have a Dark Avengers tag, so I would look to possibly uniform in this. In the Dark Avengers run, he does wear the uniform, the Wolverine's uniform, so I would expect something like that to show up at some point or another. If not, definitely later on down the line. But that's essentially Dakin. Iron Patriot and Hawkeye or Bullseye are both the other costumed uniformed heroes. For Green Goblin, aka Iron Patriot, he looks to have a strong lead for his Dark Avengers, as well as a passive that's going to get buffed pretty well as well. Increased damage to superheroes, supervillains by 40% for Dark Avenger allies specifically. So that doesn't obviously affect his other uniforms. We'll see what that looks like. But this one specifically looks to be pretty strong for a nice glow up for him. And then the other uniform on here that gets the better buff is probably Bullseye, because he's going to do a lot of self buffing. So an increase to better penetrate and overall damage, increased spikes, defense down. So this 25% increase to all attacks is also very nice. It's obviously applied to self. So it'll be, I think he's going to be the dark horse of this update, that he'll have a pretty strong uniform at some point or another. As we previously mentioned, these are the 5 characters that are getting level 70. So here's Tier 3 Sentry's skill. For the most part, there's not a whole lot of lines of text here, not a whole lot of stats that are happening. But I would imagine that's because Sentry's other skills are actually going to be very, very good. He's looking a little bit like One Punch Man over here, but it is what it is. Potential Awakening, as we mentioned, there's a lot of text for these 2 characters, but there's not a whole lot sort of going on for these otherwise. You'll notice that there's no requirement here, and that's where we kind of will talk about the requirements actually removing. So there you have a link on this article so you can see it yourself. But when we go into it, they right off the bat use Medusa as an example, that they're actually going to cross this out, complete designated requirements for the character. So they've removed that completely. And they, like I said, using Medusa as an example, before Medusa required Black Bolt, Crystal, and Ms. Marvel to be at level tier 2 and level 60. That no longer is the case. They're saying that this portion of it is actually going to be removed, and you can awaken that potential right away. I'll be able to test this right away, given that my Amadeus Cho free, well, not exactly free, but the free gear upgrade that we had a couple months back, I took my Amadeus Cho all the way up to level gear 25, so he's ready to be transcended. I just didn't have wave. That's why I had built him previously anyway. I was just going to build him and pause. So we'll see if we will be able to do that right away. And like I said, didn't get the uniform for him because he wasn't going to get awakened. But if I'm able to do that, then we'll know that it applies for most of the other characters. Works out for my favor because I also picked up Moon Knight, who required Morbius. But in terms of other characters that that needed a paywall to be awakened and no longer need that, we'll, like I said, like I mentioned, Moon Knight, but we'll also get also Bloodstone. And then the Warriors of the Sky are actually going to change as well. So Sunbird is a requirement for Blue Dragon, Shadow Shell, and War Tiger, but essentially that's that. If that goes away, all 3 of those characters can be awakened without the premium character. Now the soft paywall characters that were limited before were Red Guardian in the form of Yelena, and I had mentioned Amadeus Cho with the wave and the 6-star Luna. So it'll be interesting whether or not we can awaken those. If it does work out in our favor, it's a huge upgrade for those that are playing free to play. Me, for example, I get a Moon Knight to be awakened, as well as some of the Warriors of the Sky that I would probably do, and then Amadeus Cho, which is, yes, it's only crystals before, it's wave, it's 625 or whatever it is, but it's worth something. But at the end of the day, is that enough? Is that enough for the update itself? I don't think it's enough to stop the boycott from happening, because the boycott is still very, very present, right? We didn't get any addressing of the CTP or the card crafting. Any of that doesn't show up here at all. And that's kind of unfortunate, because we kind of expect that to happen. For those of you that are looking to pick up this deluxe pack, 666 crystal as the crystals as we expected before. You can obviously pay money, but again, not a lot of folks are going to, even though this is going to be a better deal, because you get a crystal return as well as VIP experience. Whether or not, I mean, that's obviously your own decision. I don't have enough crystals for the 666, but that's what the route that I would go anyway. We do have these special items that can be picked up over a period of time. The highlight here is probably going to be the Ares 20 bio credits. Will jumpstart if you're missing that. But to be honest, I haven't even picked up Phyla-Vell yet, and Phyla-Vell's bios were picked up in the mission anyway, so not worth it. Or at least I wouldn't worry about it. The Future Pass, as we have stated previously, Scorpion is the bio sub that we have here. 300 tokens for the premium card. Definitely pick up those as you're playing Giant Boss Raid. These are the icons. Again, you have to pay money for your Wolverine or your Groot. There is rumor mill that Groot is going to get a holiday uniform, so we'll have to see if that's the case. Sentry is probably going to be that 2-week check-in event that we have, and where you can get that icon, or you can get the mega tier 2. So we'll see. Uniform collection. Last month they took away the crystals. This month they're doing the same thing. There are no crystals here, only 1,000,000 gold, which is kind of shady, or kind of skeezy. I mean, there aren't a whole lot of uniforms this round, so I get it, but at the same time, it would have been free to play, and it would have been very, very easy to get those, but they didn't want to give us crystals for it. Kind of sucks. For those of you that are doing the CTP forging, they did better the text here for penetration and beatdown. I don't really care. I'll worry about this when it gets fixed. Otherwise, the rest of the patch notes are here. But that's really about it. So kind of to bring it all home, this is overall a good update for free-to-play players, given that we get a lot of heroes that are brand new. Sentry Tier 3, Ares, Scorpion, Dakin, whatever. So that's always nice. And then obviously this change to Awaken Characters is huge. But overall, I mean, we're still in this place of, like, we don't want to play the content because of the CTP and the card chest. So it's kind of like, well, we're still kind of status quo. It still is just a simulator where I just take characters that I don't really, I get, and then they all do the same thing. Whoop-de-doo, right? As you can see right here, not a lot of folks are happy about it. Some folks are happy, but overall, whatever. Maintenance time is scheduled for this evening. It's a very, very long maintenance time, longer than we're used to, I think. But should wrap up at about roughly the same time. I think they're just starting earlier this time. They are going to give you a 5-star hero chest. Whoop-de-doo, whatever. We'll see if I will stream the update, or if I'll just be checking out and wandering around online and posting my comments on Twitter and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot here, and it's kind of disappointing. I'm starting to question whether or not this game is going to be around for a year, given the state of everything, right? Marvel Future Revolution coming and all of this. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. But I'm going to wrap it up here. I don't want to keep you guys for too long, but until the next time, Appreciate all the comments, subscribes, checking out the chats, showing up on Twitch. That's greatly appreciated. As always, do good, be good, and I will see you guys soon, okay?